hear you.
Getting set up.
You back?
Yes, I made it back. Unfortunately, my computer's still doing this little thing. That was a little glitch in it that knocks me out. But I think we were discussing 49, 4, 5 in that area, uh, versus 49, talking about the bloodshed. We're talking about Simeon and Levi and the bloodshed, the killing out of anger, and how this turned into the mitzvahs against murder, as opposed to uh, manslaughter that is not that is accidental. And so it brings out all of those prohibitions against murder and the difference between that and manslaughter. So I don't know if y'all were discussing anything while I was getting back in or not.
No, we were waiting on you.
Okay,
Oh,
good,
yeah.
good, good, good. So if we look on to verse 10 in this area, just to talk about these courts of justice and the kingship in of Judah and his authority. This is going back and establishing the authority to where the legal system can operate and function. Um, and we see down here further about Dan talking about this Shimshon, which is Samson, that as he acted as a judge, and these righteous men would come up and act as a judge before there was a king in Israel, and they would take care of the problems. Uh, that he had hoped to overcome, the harsh din. Um,
Who is that? Which one was it?
um, Samson in this whole story. But when Shimshon will be overcome by his enemies, he will say, "I hope for your salvation, O God." Um, so we still see ideas of even being prophesied here by Yaakov of courts of justice, the effects of bloodshed, the effects of sexual immorality. Basically, these are effects of the seven, uh, prohibitions, and that not only that they were committed or existed, but when committed, they had real consequences and real effects on people. So, people can't sit there and say, oh, well, they don't exist. They're not in Torah. Well, I guarantee you the consequences of them are in Torah. And these consequences are real, uh, even if you think the prohibitions are not. And of course, we can see that today. No one argues that. The easiest argument uh, to get around is when somebody says, there's no uh, seven laws of Noah, that it's nowhere in the Torah and it don't exist. And then all you got to do is ask them, well, which one would you do? And it's over with. They can't really. It is such a ridiculous argument that they can't even respond to it. Uh, because what we're doing here throughout the book of Genesis is we showed how they were being applied and the effects of them, uh, and they want to deny them because the rabbis said it. when the entire book of Genesis has proven that they were applied and that they had consequences. So let's see. And there's something. Where did we stop at? 40.
You stopped at 49:26.
I don't want to go over. I don't want to go over here into 50 because that's going to explain 90% of everybody's problems. I'm gonna wait till we get there on that, and I'm gonna take care of 90% of everybody's problems once we get over there.
Russell, you want me to do some commentary here on 49?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Let's go back to chapter 48 and let's look at verse 19. This is the verse right after Joseph had saw that his father was placing the right hand on Ephraim and it displeased him. And he supported his father and removed it upon Manasseh's head. And Joseph said, "Not so, father. For this is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." Now look, always, this is what Rabbi Bax always told me. You have to look at what is said and how it's written. But his father refused and said, "I know, son, my son, I know. Da'at. See there? I know. This is very specific. That word there comes from the word da'at, which is knowledge. This is from the fall of the tree of knowledge. And it's doubled. Why is he saying it doubled? Because this aspect of da'at is Leviathan, it's Metatron, it's the whole thing, because what he's fixing to do is tell them what's going to happen at the war of Gog and Magog in the end of days. This, even though this is a blessing, it's sort of, if you look at some of the kids' blessings, it's not really a blessing. It's kind of a backhanded issue, you know? I mean, he's going to start with Reuben and just, wipe him out, right? So it says, I know. And then he says, in 23, then Israel said to Joseph, "Behold, there is it again, that the hine. I'm about to die, blah, blah, blah," talking about Shechem, which is the AKA the Shekhinah. Then Jacob called his sons and said, "Assemble yourselves, and I will tell you what will befall you in the end of days." So is he blessing them, or is he telling them what's going to happen to them at the end of days? What is it? Now, what chapter is this? This is chapter 49. What is Mem Tet's gematria?
49.
49. So here we go. Da'at. This is the prelude of da'at right here. This is the culmination of the fixing of da'at, because it doesn't say the end of time. Everybody sees the word end of days in their mind, immediately flips a switch and says the end of time. Time is never going to stop. Why does it say the end of days? Because the Sphirot are known as days. There's the 7 days. These are the 7 lower Sphirot. The Malchut is the end. It's the bottom of the Sphirotic structure. It is known as the end of days. I'm going to tell you what is going to happen in the Malchut at the war. This is basically what he's saying. And the first thing he says, "Reuben, you're my firstborn, my strength, my initial vigor, foremost in rank and foremost in power." This is, according to Rav Moshe David Vali, this is according to Ramdu, this is the destruction of Yeshu Hanotsri and Christianity, because this is about ego. You are my strength, my vigor, foremost in rank and foremost in power. If you look in the Hebrew, James, you could probably show this real good. Yeter Sa'ed Vayeter Oz. This spells Yeshua, Yeshu. The first thing, what he did by separating the Shekhinah from his father, by removing that bed, is exactly the mode that Christianity does. They try to remove the Shekhinah. They separate it out of the Malchut because the Klippa is attached to the Malchut, which is the kingdom, which is Israel. Okay. Now it's real weird here. It doesn't say Israel, it says Jacob. He's given him a 3D deal. When it says Israel, it's a 4D deal, right? But it switches here to Jacob. Now, the last time it says Israel is in the previous chapter when it says, in Israel put his right hand and da 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 da. But now all of a sudden his name goes back to Jacob. Why? Because this is the 3D Gog Magog final battle that's going to come up. And he gives some very backhanded compliments to his sons, I would say. And then we get down here. One of the most important ones is the scepter shall not depart from Judah. This is Messiah ben David, nor a scholar from among the descendants. This is Messiah ben Joseph, until Shiloh arrives. And you mentioned a while ago that your translation is talking about Mashiach. Well, that's fine, because Shiloh is Gematria Moses.
Mm.
Moshe and Shiloh are the same gematria. And what it's going to, and it's going, will be an assemblage of the nations. Everybody's going to have to remember Moses, my servant, right? And Elijah is going to come and announce Mashiach. And Moses, like we said a while ago, Moses and Rachel are outside the land, the Shekhinah. They are outside the land because they're going to be resurrected and lead their children back home. And this piece, the donkey and the foal, and this whole thing is about the abundance of Torah, and the Hasidim and the Guvarot. This is the donkey and the foal. This is also mentioned in Zechariah 9:9, and I've taught on this before about you make your robes in the blood of grapes. When Elijah comes and announces Mashiach, one of the things he's going to do is correct. He's going to do several things. One, he's all of these people that think they're a 12th tribe, or we're Hebrews, or we're Jews. I come from a Jewish lineage, therefore I'm Jews. All that malarkey. Elijah's going to separate all that out. He's going to say, no, you're not. Yes, you are. There may be some people that don't even know they are, right? And the other thing he's going to do is he's going to tell the rabbinate, the rabbis, you have made blood of grapes. You have taught the Gentiles wrong.
Mm.
And this comes from Mishnah Rabbah on this piece. It's a very Metatron piece here, right? About the end of days and what's going to happen. And then we get down here at the very end. He's talking about Dan, and he's talking about Samson, right? So this verse in 17 is broken up into 4 parts: a serpent on the highway, a viper by the path that bites a horse's heel so that its rider falls backwards. Dan is going to be the one that judges the armies at the war of Gog and Magog. Samson judged the Philistines, and then Samson is the first part. He is a serpent, by the way. Why does it use the word serpent? I thought serpents were bad. Remember, there's always a good serpent And there's always a bad serpent. There's always the holy Nakash and the wicked Nakash. Because Nakash is Gematria Messiah, Mashiach. Moses had a serpent, his staff. Pharaoh had a serpent. The serpents were biting the people. Moses put a serpent on the pole. All these different things, right? So this is the holy serpent. And then we have a viper by the path. This was Celia. And then a that bites the horse's heels. This was Ira. These are all the big name judges of Israel. And then the last one here is so that its rider falls backwards. This is the destruction of at Gog and Magog. And this one is according to the Zohar and the Gaon of Vilna and Kol Hator. This is Saria ben Dan. It's the rider. He is the one that the rider falls backwards. So Jacob is telling his sons what is going to happen in the end of days at the battle of Gog and Magog. Now, there is a tradition that the court of heaven stopped him from telling them exactly the time and all this stuff. And so instead of him telling them, he whispered it to him. This is like the aspect of the Shema, and then the second part is you whisper it. So they were aware of what was happening. Then when we get over here to verse 24, but his bow is firmly in place, and his arms were gilded from the hands of the mighty, powerful power of Jacob. This is very interesting. From there, he shepherded the stone of Israel. This word here is Shadaim. Shadaim is the word stone. Okay. As you know, it has the word Shaddai in it. And Shaddai is Gematria 314, which is Gematria Metatron. That was from God and from the Father, and he will help you. And with Shaddai, Metatron, he will bless you from the heaven above, blessing deep, crouching below, and bless you, and the bosom and the womb. This is Shekhinah. So you have the heavens, which is Zah, which is the male aspect, and the bosom and the womb, which is the Shekhinah, Rachel, the female aspect. And the thing that is making the interface here is the aspect of Yesod, which is Shaddai, and the stone of Israel, the Shaddaim. It all starts falling into place. And which leads us up to 50, which is 50 is like the 50 gates of Bina.
Well, why don't we get into your I'm gonna let you read that here in just a minute if you like,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
then you can pick up there. But I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to point out to you, and if I can find a verse here. Oh, somewhere around 8, 9. I think it's 9 or something. It says, and like an old lion, who will be able to arouse him? And that arousal is that talking about, that's Yosef, obviously, but that's Messiah ben Yosef, right?
Yes,
Or,
yes, but
or
well,
Yehuda,
the lion is Judah, right?
right?
And so
It's
so
Judah.
so yeah, so he's talking about he's a cub, so he's in continuity, small, and all of a sudden he's getting big, and
That's
then
it.
and then we go right into the scepter shall not depart from Judah. That's Messiah ben David, nor a scholar, which is Messiah ben Joseph, from his descendants until Mashiach, aka Shiloh, aka Gematria Moses, arrives, and his will be the assemblage of the nations. So it's giving us an order, that the aspect of the Mashiach ben David is
Uh-huh.
always there. It's always kind of like a little lion crouching, while the aspect of Mashiach ben Yosef, um, does the restoration in the exile. And that's going to happen until Mashiach, Shiloh, Moshe Rabbeinu arrives, and then he is going to assemble everyone. And that's when the wine, like you said, the wine flows. Wine is Gematria 70, which is going to be dealing with the nations, which is 70. But 70 is also Gematria Sod, or secret of the matter. So this is alluding to the knowledge of Torah is going to flow like never before. That's why Elijah says, "You have made blood of grapes, guys." So there's going to be a definite shift. There will probably be the aspect of prophecy and all this kind of stuff returning. Um, so
Okay, so well, now we're going down to 16. I can't read my writing here, but I have a little note and I think and I know there's two different words that I always confuse, but it's talking about this serpent. And
mhm.
is there association with the Shashua here? Is that the right word?
No, no, no.
What is that?
It's I mean, this is a knockosh type of deal, but it changes from
You
serpent to viper to it's Shimshon. That's Samson. That's probably what your note says.
No, it's that two-spined serpent. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I can't never get the name of it right, and I can't read what I wrote here, so I can't. Sure enough, can't.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but if you don't remember any association with it,
I don't have that note written here. All this other stuff that I've been saying, I have written here.
but you know what
Um,
you know what I
yeah,
you know what I'm talking
yeah.
about, that two
I
spined
yeah, I know what you're talking
serpent.
about.
Boy.
I know what you're talking about. I'd have to go back and look. Um,
Okay. All right, let's
uh,
don't go down that
okay.
rabbit hole then. All right. All right. So if we're ready, Mike, you can start reading at 49:27, and you ought to be able to go all the way to the end. It's not very much left to read. But
Okay.
then we can pick on up with chapter 50.
Ben, okay. Benjamin is a predatory wolf. In the morning, he will devour the prey, and in the evening, he will distribute its spoils. All these are the tribes of Israel, 12. That is what their father spoke to them, and he blessed them, and he blessed each according to his appropriate blessing. Then he instructed them and said, I shall be gathered into my people, bury me with my fathers in the cave that is at the end of the field of Ephron, the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which faces Mamre, and the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron the Hittite as a burial estate. There he buried Abraham and Sarah his wife, and there he buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife, and there I buried Leah, purchased the field with the cave within it from the son of Heth. When Jacob finished instructing his sons, he drew his feet into the bed, and he expired and was gathered into his people. Then Joseph fell upon his father's face, and he wept over him and kissed him. Joseph ordered the servants, the physicians, to embalm his father, and the physicians embalmed Israel. His 40-day term was completed, for such is the term of the embalmed. And Egypt bewailed him for 70 days. And when his bewailing period passed, Joseph spoke to Pharaoh's household, saying, If you please, I found favor in your eyes. Speak now in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father had adjourned me, saying, Behold, I'm about to die in my grave, which I have hewn myself in the land of Canaan, and there are you to bury me. Now I will go up, if you please, and bury my father, then I will return. Pharaoh said, Go up and bury your father, as he adjourned you. So Joseph went up to bury his father. With him, he went up with all Pharaoh's servants and the elders of the house and the elders of the land of Egypt, and all Joseph's household, his brothers, his father's household. Only their young children, their flocks, and their cattle did they leave in the region of Goshen. And he brought them up with both chariots and horsemen, and the camp was very imposing. They came to Goren ha-Atad, at which is across the Jordan. And there they had a very great imposing eulogy. And he ordained a 7-day mourning period for his father. When the Canaanite inhabitants of the land saw the mourning of Goren ha-Atad, they said, "This is a grievous mourn for Egypt." Therefore, it was named Avel Mizraim, which is a mourning of Egypt, which is across the Jordan. His sons did for him exactly as he had instructed them. His sons carried him to the land of Canaan, and they buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field that Abraham bought for his burial estate from Ephron the Hittite, facing Mamre. Joseph returned to Egypt. He and his brothers and all who had gone up with him to bury his father after he had buried his father. Joseph's brothers perceived that their father was dead, and they said, "Perhaps Joseph will nurse hatred against us, and then he will assuredly repay us for the evil that we did to him." So they instructed that Joseph be told, your father gave orders upon his death, saying, "Thus shall you say to Joseph, oh, please kindly forgive the spiteful deed of your brothers and their sin, for they had done you evil. And now please forgive the spiteful deed of the servants of your father's God." And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. His brothers themselves also went and flung themselves before him and said, "We are ready to be your slaves." Joseph said to them, "Fear not, for am I instead of God? Although you intended to harm me, God intended it for good, in order to accomplish it is as clear as this day that a vast people be kept alive. So for now, fear not. I will sustain you and your young ones." Thus he comforted them and spoke to their heart. Joseph dwelled in Egypt, he and his father's household, and Joseph lived 110 years. Joseph saw 3 generations through Ephraim. Even the sons of Machar, son of Manasseh, were raised on Joseph's knees. Joseph said to his brothers, "I'm about to die, but God will surely remember you and bring you out of this land to the land he swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Then Joseph adjourned the children of Israel, saying, "When God will indeed remember you, then you must bring my bones up out of here." Because the word bones, etzem, is the same word as science or knowledge, the knowledge of science. Joseph died at the age of 110 years old. They embalmed him and they placed him in a coffin in Egypt. Be strong, and may we be strengthened.
Amen.
Amen.
That's it. So they throw his coffin into the Nile so nobody knows where it's at. So Moses has to retrieve it to take it out of Egypt. And it was the bones of Moses that led his children out of there.
Bones of Joseph.
Joseph.
Yeah, bones of Joseph. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big deal when we get to it later on.
But you notice
in the first of the reading, when he was talking about how the 40 days was over and how Egypt mourned for him for 40 days. So Yaakov knew what was going to happen. That's why he had to get out of there.
Mhm.
That's why he had to get that dead body, his body had to be removed because they were already from the very beginning mourning and looking at him that way.
Yeah. And then of course this whole thing it kind of opens up this window here of embalming.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and are you supposed to be embalmed? Should you not be embalmed? And then Yaakov and Yosef both were embalmed. But and so that's and so that kind of just opens that door up. So I guess, whether you're not embalmed or you are embalmed is your personal choice and however you want to go about it. But one thing we don't have to do is be concerned about loved ones who were embalmed previously. I don't, we can't say that there's any spiritual damage done there for whatever purpose or reason uh, because of this. So that's pretty safe to say. And I would even go as far as those who are cremated. And it may not be, this may not be preferable to the what to Jewish understanding to be embalmed or be cremated, but there is no one going to say anything about cremation because then what are they saying about the 6 million people who were cremated in the Holocaust?
That's right.
Or is their souls damaged because of that? No, I don't. I don't. So I think so when we're thinking about funerals and these kind of things that we hear from within Judaism, the halakha type of deal or whatever their traditions are, their customs are about not embalming or not going with
The 20,
cremation.
the 24 hours.
Yeah, and be buried within the 24 hours and stuff like that. Um, this alludes to a problem that I'm going to address here that we see in this portion right here, and we see it in verses 3 and 10 where it talks about these 70 days because it was 40 days and then it was